Hey guys, how you doing? Well, I got a new project, and it's a pretty big project. So let's go ahead and unveil it because it's going to go over a long period of time. I think I'm going to do a playlist on it, and it's probably going to take a year, maybe more. This is my new project. It's a 1964 Airstream Globetrotter. Let me take you around, show you a little bit. So right now I got it covered up. It's got a few leaks on the top and a few little dents. Got the Air Force flying overhead. America. Got it all covered up right now, but has a little window air conditioning unit right here, so I got to replace a window. But let me tell you what my first part of this project's going to be. So right here is the back window. There's another window in the front, and that's what covers it. So this is what covers the front and back. It's called a rock guard. And it has some corrugated fiberglass. You can see it's got a little damage. It's got these metal brackets that hold it together, both sides. It even has moss growing on it. And it runs on a track. It has these brackets on both sides. Kind of like sits, flip these around. Kind of like sits like this. And these brackets are designed so that the rock guard comes up when you're at a camping site, and down, screwed in place to prevent any rocks from flying up from tires and causing any damage to the windshield or the windows. The window in the front has already suffered some damage because it's been replaced with a piece of plexiglass. I'm going to replace that with real glass. So my plan is to replace that fiberglass, that green, ugly, moss-ridden fiberglass, with this smoked Lexan, and I'm going to rebuild the entire frame for the rock guards. This one, I haven't taken apart yet, but the one from the back, I already have. So I'm going to use this as a template to cut out this piece of Lexan. It's thick, but thin enough to cut with some shears. And then all of the pieces were covered in expanding foam. So yeah, you can see it's got all over it. Plus we've got some rust. We've got some issues where the holes are a little walled out. Some of them, the rivets came out no problem. Some of them had some issues. So I might have to, this is still aluminum, so I might have to do some aluminum brazing to fill that in a little bit and then re-drill it. This is the track that the actual Lexan goes in. And here's the bottom side. It has a thin opening that the bottom side of the Lexan goes in. And again, I'm gonna have to clean up some of them holes. As long as the holes will support the I think it's a 3/8 rivet, which go in right there. These, most of them are okay. A couple of them are going to have to be fixed before I get them all back together, before I can get it all back together. But my plan is to take some mineral spirits, clean all this, and then start putting everything back together. And then I have to these are the rails. There's 2 of them. They're actually flat on one end, rounded on the other. I'm going to use a like Scotch-Brite pad to clean them up. I don't need to polish all this and these racks. All I need to do is just clean it up so it looks good. These are the slides. So when the track here that sits on the side and these screws screw to this piece goes against the trailer. This is your hold down here. This will go up here and screw into these holes. Got it backwards. This will go here. Actually, that's not it. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, this is it. This is the right one. So I'm gonna have to fix some problems, some gouging. Maybe I'll do some aluminum brazing on that and then sand it down a little bit. But this actually screws on against the, there you go. This goes against here, and then the Lexan goes in here. You see in the corner because the rivets are for the actual panel, and then this actually goes, screws in it, and then this slides in here, and what slides up and down, once I get it cleaned out, as you lift the panel up and down. So we still have, a bit to go. We've got to clean everything, fix a couple holes, do some aluminum brazing to fix some of the issues with the panel brackets or the frame. Get the Lexan together, get it all together, tighten it up, and then put in the rivets, screw the sides in, and then we'll be able to put it all back together and put it back on the trailer. So the next video is going to be actually all that work, the cleaning, brazing, reassembly, and putting it on a trailer. All right, we got this little gouge here we need to fix. I mean, I could leave it, but I don't like it. So I got a little bit of aluminum. Get my bottle here. All right. So I got this little area here that I'm going to heat up and fill with some aluminum, and we need to get that cleaned up. Come on. There we go. Fill that hole up. Right. Good enough. So we got to let that I got a little bit on the other side. Now I gotta let that cool completely. Don't try to mess with it before it's completely cooled off. Here's my bottle. There we go. So, it's not cool yet, but I'm gonna let it sit for a minute, but you can see what we got here. Little holes all filled in. Now I'm gonna take my grinder and clean that up a little bit. The whole piece has been cleaned. You can see all the rust is gone. A little bit over here. I still got, looks like a little area I still need to clean. All right, so here you go. All cleaned up. Gouge is gone. Nice corner there. Cleaned up the edge. A little bit more to go, but that's not a big deal. That one's done. Now I just got to clean all those. Once I get all those clean, then I'm ready to start reassembly. All right. We got a little issue here, so we need to fill that up. I'm just gonna leave my bottle sitting on this table. Get it around here. Now we gotta let that cool. All right, so here's what we have. It's cooled, but it still gotta get it over. We'll get it out of camera. It's got quite the raise on, so we're gonna clean that up. And there you have it, nice and clean. You can actually see the line that was filled. But I'm gonna have to round the hole a little bit, but it should be good. That looks good. So you see this one I just finished. Now I got this one, but I need to fill these two holes. All right, I gotta let it cool a little bit because it wants to keep wanting to put we go. I'm gonna take some of that off. I think that's good. Now you don't want, when you fill a hole with aluminum, you only want to go from one side. If you try to fill from the other side, once you start melting it, the whole pocket of aluminum will drop out. Burn this off. There we go. Now we're gonna let this cool. Okay. Not too bad. It's got a little dip in it, but it's not noticeable. And then I left the back side, grinded it down just a little bit. Now to clean it up. All right, one thing I'm doing here is cleaning off these pieces. And what I'm using is a brass wire brush. Reason why is because it doesn't dig into the metal, but it also leaves a nice uniform finish. I gotta flatten these out before I re-rivet them. But it cleans it really good, gives it a nice satin finish. I don't want these to be polished. And I'll show you. Still trying to get over this cold. Put on a mask. All right. You see where I already did some? I just kind of hold it and readjust this down a little more. And then just keep it in the same direction. We got a nice clean finish. And one of the problems that I've noticed, the wheel skipping over the edge, so keep rolling around the same direction into the edge, so if it does skip over, you won't get, I'll show you, see how you have these little swirl marks. I got to go back over this so it's got a nice clean finish. That's because when I was doing this edge, the wheel skipped off into this edge and made all them marks. So I'm going to clean that up. Then we got this last edge. So, see how I got a nice finish there? But if I turn it, see all those swirls? So I'll have to clean that up, but it's only on this top edge. The problem is the wheel keeps going over this bottom edge. So I'm gonna finish all the rest of these, And then we should be ready to put this back together. So I got another little issue, and that's these, let me see. These old rivet holes that got drilled out and they're kind of sticking out. I need to flatten them out. So what I found was, I took a close-end wrench that fit just inside, and I get it right on the hole. So that the rounded edge of the wrench goes on the inside of the hole while the curved end is on the outside. It gives me support on both ends, and then I can just get that in there. Pull it out. And now I got a nice flat edge. And that way that my bracket can sit flush. And the great thing about it is this will go all the way in to the second hole, and I can flatten that one. There we go. Pull it out, and they're both flat. Just a little trick. All right, so I've got a little problem. So it appears that there's like some kind of piece of wood or something inside here that takes up this gap. This is what connects at the top of the window to that it pivots on, it swings up and down on. And then you have this slide here that is a piece of aluminum that goes through, and it has the arms on it that hook to the rails that are on the side. So here's what I've done. So I've cleaned all these, and where that piece of wood is, what I've done is, instead of putting in a piece of wood, I've taken some 3/8 nuts and a 2-inch bolt that goes all the way through. And you'll see when it's, okay, you'll see when it's all back together, this, when it's on the trailer, this will go through here where it pivots on across the top, and that double nut, see that this rail will actually sit between those two washers, and the double nut will be on the outside to hold it in place. That's actually how it's put together. Originally there was a double nut on the outside, but it had that piece of wood inside. So instead of doing a piece of wood, I decided to do 2 nuts with lock washers to hold that together. The other problem is, so here's that piece of aluminum that goes through this rail here. It slides up and down as you open and close the rock guard. So what I've done is I put on a new wing nut, double washer, and a 1 1/4 inch bolt. I think it's a 1/4 inch 20 thread bolt. So it'll go just like that. I still have to adjust it once I get the panels put into the rock guard. I've got everything cleaned up. I've got new brackets. One warning, you can buy these brackets at Home Depot or Lowe's. Here's the thing. This is a bracket from Home Depot. Let's see. This is a bracket from Lowe's. Now you might think they look the same, Except when you take an original bracket and you put it up the Lowe's bracket, the holes don't match at all. You put it up against the Home Depot bracket and they match perfect. These are, I think they're 2.5 inch, 90-degree brackets, but the holes match. I had to drill them a little bit for 3/16 of an inch for the rivets, for the pop rivets, but they fit perfectly. So, not at Lowe's, at Home Depot. When this panel gets put in, and it fits inside here, this edge is almost completely closed. So that this flat edge can fit in. It's only like maybe 1/16 of an inch thick. And then at the bottom, that opening is 1/2 inch. So when I look at this is the side rail. That's the 1/2 inch. This is the top and bottom. As you can see, it's closed. I'm gonna have to maybe open this up a little bit to get it to fit into the top and bottom. But we'll experiment a little bit and see how we get that together. Okay, so these are the panels that I'm going to be using for rock guards. They are 3/8 inch thick. You can get them at 2 foot by 4 foot, and 2 foot is perfect. I'm just going to have to cut a little bit shorter. I think one of my rock guards is like 41 inches or something like that. I have to measure them. And the other one is like 47. The front is a little bigger than the back. Problem, they don't fit right. So what I've been doing is you can fit this 3/8 or this 3/4 inch wrench right inside the slide. It'll be a little tight. And then you slide it down, and when you feel it tightening up, you can get in there and kind of just give it a little twist back and forth to open that up a little bit. I have it in a vise to hold it. And then get on the other side of this nut, just give it a little bit. Like that. Come down a little bit, open this up. A little bit more on the end. Should slide through pretty good. Then the panel can slide down in there. Now, this one, those are the easy ones. These are going to be the hard ones. So you can see these are not, get up there. These aren't even open at all. They're designed to have just this thin edge in here. So what I might have to do is, once I trim off my end, I might have to cut down here to flatten this. It's going to go in about, I don't know, let me see, what's the thickness of this? Can't really tell. So, an inch, maybe 3/4 of an inch. So, 3/4 of an inch is going to be, so I have to crunch in 3 of these. I don't know if I can take, you know, some pliers and see if this can crush. Oh, it does. And it actually crushes pretty easy too. So I'm gonna have to crunch in 3. So that's what I'm gonna have to do. Squeeze it really tight so that I can get it inside here. Now once I get this open, I think we can use the screwdriver. Once we get it open, we might be able to then just slide it. It depends on how tight it is. We'll see. All right, so here's what I did to those 2 long channels. I opened them up with a cutting wheel and grinder. I mean, it's not perfect, but once I get the plastic panels in place, I'm gonna put a bead of silicone around it just to keep the moisture out or the water out. All right, so it's time for putting this together. Putting this in. It's still going to be hard. You don't want it to be that easy. Make sure you peel back this plastic before you go ahead and put this in. Make sure your edges, you got room, which I do. Both ends, I got about maybe 1/8 of an inch on both ends. Let me peel back to the other side. Film peel back. Film is on both sides, so make sure you peel it back on both sides. Got it on this side. And then you got it on this side. I'm gonna peel it all the way back until I got this thing completely reassembled. Get this all the way down here. Then back enough. Wobble it, wiggle it back and forth until it gets all the way down in there. A little bit of film caught. You still pull it out. Make sure the film is on both sides. And on this side we have the same thing. Got a nice little bit of on the edge. Same here. Just make sure we're not all the way at the edge. So now, see if I can bring this up a little bit. Peel this down, the front and back. Stay. Stay. You want to make sure that where you have the screw tips the beveled, the 45 angle, that's where the panel goes into. We want to make sure we line this up. Same thing, remember, we got screws. There's screws in there, so you might have to tap it down a little. The other side. The reason why, because this has these little dividers in each hole, and sometimes a screw might get caught on it that's inside that channel. But if you just push it hard enough, it will get that out of the way. It'll push right on through it. All right. So let's see now. I gotta move this over a little. So the panel may be in the way of the drill holes. So we want to make sure that we line these up, put on through that panel, just plastic. All right, so now we're ready to pop these on. Just to line each one up. Make sure I got the right tip on this. Now we're going to go all the way around. Okay, on the left is your old, on the right is your new. Two different sides, because the one on the left is the rear, the one on the right is the front. But replaced all the brackets, all the rivets, replaced the panel. One thing I did learn the hard way, if you see these little pieces of plastic, some of them are on the outside, but some are on the inside. And that came because I drilled through the panel while the sides were together, and I didn't blow it out. I didn't think about it. And so those plastic shavings from drilling through the panel are actually inside these channels. So I'm just gonna have to live with that. The other one I'm gonna learn by my mistake, line it up, mark some holes, and then drill it out. But everything else looks pretty good. Got these replaced. I'll have another video that when I do the windows and then reassemble everything, that will go over putting all that back together. But that pretty much hooks to this side rail here, and on the trailer that's these rails here. So it goes through these holes up here, and then those aluminum slides hook in right here. I'm gonna have to fix some of these holes, fill them up with aluminum where there was a piece of wood that was screwed to these metal rails, these aluminum rails. So when I go to do the windows, I'll do another video that shows putting all that back together. If you have any questions, go ahead and put them down below. The panels are multi-wall polypropylene roof panels that I got at Lowe's. The 2 foot by 4 foot, which is perfect for these, one for each. It only cuts off a little bit at the top. 2 foot wide is almost a perfect width. Were I think $28 a piece. So of course the brackets, I told you to get those at Lowe's, and then all the screws and hardware, the bolts were all 1/4 inch, and these right here are 1/4 inch by 20 thread. I think they're inch and 1/4 for those with the wing nut, and those to hook to the top of the rail to swivel were 2 inch. And subscribe if you like it. Talk to you later.